It's a Thurston County Amateur Barbecue Cook-Off. Now's your chance to bring your backyard barbecue skills into a local county-wide competition and see just how good it really is with the first annual Thurston County Amateur Barbecue Cook-Off competition. Just think, you could have a shot at prizes and recognition and have a great time as well. All the proceeds go to AFAB World. Go to afabworld.org or call 754-2868 for all the information. Preliminary rounds are forming now. It's the Thurston County Amateur Barbecue Cook-Off.
For today's workshop said, who do we already have in the county who's doing a great job and is an example of ag tourism and the best practices taking place? And we wanted to invite those folks to come to the table and say, what are the best practices that they've seen over the years, but also what are the challenges they've gone through, especially in the most recent years when marketing has changed a lot and how you reach your customer. And so first up, I'd like to call Carolyn Latin. And Carolyn, are you coming? Is also Debbie going to join you? Wow, we are very pleased to have Debbie Latin join us today as well, because she came all the way from the Proctor district this morning. We're a huge, large farmers market up there. Also joining us will be Ryan Rutledge, and if you guys want to join us up here, Rob Pope, and Chanel. We need an extra chair. And we're not going to introduce the company they're with and the whole bio, you know, sometimes when you introduce speakers, because I'm hoping that's what's going to come out of part of their presentation. And I've asked Curtis to be the moderator of this and come up and then ask some really probing questions when we get towards the end. And we'll have a question and answer period for all of you. What I'd like to do is be able to go through each panelist before we do any questions and answers. So if you do have a question, you have a note card in front of you. If you need another note card, we have some more in the back. We can get you a note card. And so please give a warm welcome to Curtis Buse.
Okay, so I don't know any of these people other than Ryan a little bit. We were chatting earlier. And my understanding of this producers panel or agritourism panel was to talk about a little bit about what they do, introduce what their operation, their enterprise is all about. So I would like them to, again, George didn't introduce them. I'm not going to introduce them. They can introduce themselves a little bit. And they've got what I'd like to maybe is a little bit of history. How did you get into this? Okay, to start out with, have you always been involved? Did you have a farm? Did you evolve into agritourism? And then maybe just a little bit about what some of the challenges have been, as well as the benefits that you've seen from it as a starting point. So I'd like each speaker to take our operation here. We've got, is this a mother-daughter team here? About 5 to 10, no more than 10, hopefully less than 10, so we have plenty of time for question and answer afterward. Okay, well actually let's take 5 minutes or less. Okay, can you do that? To start out with? Introduction? 6 maybe. Okay.
Hello, I'm Carolyn, and I hired this lady, and I was going to talk at the Rotary Club or wherever, and she said, well, what are you going to talk about? I said, well, they're only giving me an hour, and I'm going to need at least 2 to cover it all. See, now he's down to 5 minutes. I'm in trouble. You notice when you look around the room, there's nobody, everybody has almost gray hair. Well, listen, let me tell you that the younger generation are smarter than we are. They're not here. This is a lot of hard work. We started our farm 60 years ago, and we just haven't moved around very much since then. But we didn't start the cider part of it. We always sold beef and eggs and what have you, and vegetables, but we didn't start the cider until about 35 years ago or something like that. And you know, you're not going to be able to sell very many vegetables in January. Did you ever think of that? And so you have to have something that you can sell all year long. So the county says to me, you are having to buy apples from Eastern Washington, so you're commercial. And so that's one of the things that has been a little bit of a rub to us, because it's an agricultural product that we're buying, but they didn't see it that way. But you can't run a farm when you can only sell vegetables a couple months out of the year. So that's something you have to think about when you're going into agritourism. Also the fact that in the olden days, we had, the grocery stores were closed on Sundays, and so now they're all open out there. So they want you to be there 7 days a week. So in 35 years, we hardly had a day off. In the winter time, we are closed on Sunday, but that doesn't mean they're not coming. We finally put a gate out in the last couple years, but I'd come home from church and here the whole farm would be swarming with people and lots of cars. And so we are closed in the wintertime on Sundays from January till June the 1st, and now we're open 7 days for 7 months. And let me tell you, that's a long, hard season. But it's my 5 minutes up already. But it's a good thing to look and see what the man said, what your expenses are going to be. It costs us $2 million to set up our farm, and it's worth 5 cents on the dollar at an auction. So you've got to think of what you're doing. Besides that, in 37 years, I haven't had a paycheck. And I'm looking forward to one of these days getting a paycheck, but maybe I'm not going to live that long. I don't know. This is Deb. She does all the animals and the landscaping and head of the pies. She's head of our calling group. We have 250 supermarkets and restaurants and juice companies all over Washington and Oregon. And so she does all the calling on that. And does the vet work on all those goats out there. We have 22 baby goats and 8 baby lambs and all kinds of chicks and ducks and what have you. And so she does all that, and so it's kind of a busy place. What's nice about family members, and you'll find that out in a hurry, you can work them 120 hours and only pay them for 40. So anyway, I would say we love what we do. Even after all these years, I can't hardly wait to get to work in the morning. That's ridiculous, isn't it? But when you have agritourism, it is going to consume you. You are doing that 7 days a week, 24/7. It's a real hard thing. Even on Christmas, somebody comes in and says, I didn't get my pies for Christmas dinner, and I didn't have time last night to make them. So I'm up there giving them their Christmas pies, or they didn't get cider for Thanksgiving, and they have Art of Town Company, and they insist on cider. And so it's a real hard thing to keep going when you're so consumed by the business. But anyway, I'll let Deb talk about also the North American Drink Farm Marketing Association too, which is a real good organization.
I'll try to keep this brief. Yeah, we're a member of the North American Direct Farm Marketing Association. We're also a member of the Northwest Direct Farm Marketing Association. Both really good associations if you want to get into agritourism. They have tours and conferences every year, and they will give you lots and lots and lots of hands-on experience. The tours on both organizations go to all farms that do agritourism, so you'll get to learn from the people there firsthand, and it's a really good experience. They're coming to our place this year. Yay! Agritourism is really fun. There's lots of stuff to do. You can do haunted houses, corn mazes, which we're going to have somebody talk about that later. You can have festivals, strawberry festivals, pumpkin patch festivals. You can be open year-round or just a short time in the fall. If you're open year-round, you got to remember that it's going to consume your life. It is. And if you're not open year-round, then you got to remember you got to hire new employees every year if you get big enough for employees, which hopefully you will. And they need a job year-round, and it's very hard to find good ones if you let them go every year. Let's see, what else? We have advanced from cider, we've gone into doing lots of pies and produce. We grow everything we can grow ourselves. We raise all beef, pork, chickens, turkeys. We do jams and syrups. We try to do a little of everything so that if something goes down in sales, like right now cider is down in sales, then we can compensate with the baked goods, which are going up in sales right now. So you got to think of those kind of things. You put all your eggs in one basket, that is a problem, because if something goes down, then your family does not have your support anymore.
Easter eggs.
Easter eggs, yeah. We started our Easter egg hunt because nobody knew we were still open in the spring. They thought we closed down for the year. So with Easter egg hunt, we do not make any money at the Easter egg hunt. We put out 50,000 Easter eggs, over 2 tons of candy in those Easter eggs, and it's not a moneymaker. But that means everybody comes out to our place, people that have never come out there for cider or for other things. They see what we are, they know where we're located, and then know we're still open. So it does wonderful things to help out. And I think my 5 minutes is probably up. Thank you.
You can stand up here if you want, but close your eyes, let's just use those.
Cool. How's that?
Good.
Okay. So, Rutledge Corn Maze. Kind of dovetailing on the North American Direct Farm Market Association, my grandfather, who was sort of the person that made it all possible, he'd been growing corn for quite a while, grew up hoeing, picking corn, down at the farmer's market, all that stuff. And so I had a really good, close relationship with him. And he was at one of the, I think, regional meetings, and he had seen the Shilters had a corn maze. He was a little bit interested in it. And there was two of the main corn maze planters, if you will, a couple guys, Sean Stolworthy and Brett Hertz, who were sort of kind of the founders of corn mazes, if you will. They were there, so he ended up connecting with Sean Stolworthy. He grew up on a 2,000-acre farm in Idaho. His brother-in-law owned a GPS company, so they got together and figured out how to essentially create these really intricate designs and actually get them planted into the maze. And so we were actually the first 2 years we planted everywhere, and then we mowed out the design. But then the third year we were actually the first corn maze that we know of in the world to be planted in the actual design. And so what was really good about that is I focused a lot on strategic partnerships and finding, so I went to KO, KYO 99.3 country radio stations. Like, okay, corn maze, country radio station, there's a match. There's a demographical match here. And so our first year was their first year in the community, and I said, hey, got a cornfield, we'll put your logo in the maze. In return, can we get some free advertising? And we paid them a little bit of money as well. But that worked out really well because they had 2 radio stations, the Eagle 97.7 also, and so we basically, I calculated, we were getting $50,000, $60,000 a year worth of radio buys for the equivalent of anywhere from, the most I ever paid was $8,000. And so that partnership was really, really important as far as creating name recognition for Rutledge Corn Maze. If you can imagine, 2 different radio stations, 8 ads a day. We were really fortunate. As far as how I got involved is my grandpa he wanted to set his son, my uncle Rick Rutledge, up with a business, and which was the corn maze. And then my uncle was that guy you were talking about earlier. He's the guy that needs to be on the tractor. He doesn't want to interact. So he said, hey Ryan, you do the marketing. And so I got on the internet and I looked up, marketing, advertising, Olympia, and I did all those things, and I really didn't find anything that made a whole lot of sense. The Olympians and some of the other ones that are just really too expensive. And so that's why I really, really focused on creating strategic partnerships in the community, whether it be a nonprofit. There's a lot of causes the community supports, whether it be, one year we did financial literacy, so I was able to get a pretty significant sponsorship from a bank, and we themed the corn maze around financial literacy. We even had the Federal Reserve even donated the shredded money. So what they do with money when it gets old is they take it and shred it up, and then they put it in these little, basically for tourists, to give out to tourists. Well, we were able to give out, we got 1,000 of those, we got 100 piggy banks. And so it was really just taking our demographic and finding organizations that had a like demographic and finding a way to cross-promote. And really for any of the agritourism destinations, it's all about wholesome family fun. It's connecting with, it's just that element. And if you're a business, and a lot of organizations, they want to be affiliated. They want positive name recognition in association with wholesome family fun. And so, for those of you who have agritourism destinations, that's really what you're selling when you create strategic partnerships or cross-promotional things. I was able to, one year, one of the coolest things was I sent out a press release to many different media outlets, but really I wanted the Olympian there, and said, hey, we're going to take you up in a helicopter. So I traded some corn maze tickets with Glacier Aviation and said, hey, will you take the media up and let them take pictures of the corn maze from the air? And I had a sponsorship that year with Outback Steakhouse. I had the Outback Steakhouse come out and serve food, and just had a great event for the media. They came out, the Olympian went up, took the picture. The next day we were on the front page. I'm big, I should have brought it today, I apologize. But it was really, really, to get on the front page of a major media source, at least for our area, that was really significant. And I didn't have to spend a lot of money because I did most of it through strategic partnerships. And I did have to have the skill and ability to write a press release and send it out, and I made sure I followed up, and I did that kind of stuff. I would say, so you asked about challenges. One of the big challenges we have is, and we probably haven't dealt with it adequately, is having too many people show up at one time. And so, our haunted maze really has become a really big attraction, and we literally will have 1,500 people standing in line at one time waiting to get into the maze, and we can only let them in we have to create a good experience for them while they're in the maze. We can only let them in every so often, and
sounds like you need another maze.
Pardon me?
You need 2 mazes, it sounds like.
Yeah, well, and that's actually where we feel good is when you look at the pricing of other haunted attractions. First off, they're more than we are, but what we have is we also have 2 other mazes. So we have the haunted maze, and then we have 2 other mazes. So that value add is there because if they're like, oh, this line's too long, well, they can go over into the corn maze, which really has the same feel of you're in the dark, you're in a corn maze, in a cornfield, but you really know you're safe. And that's kind of why people will come out there, is because while they want to be scared, they really know in the end that they're safe. So those one other thing I did that was talking about leveraging what you have in your resources is I connected with the different news stations and I said, hey, we've got pumpkins and corn stalks, so we want to do fall decorations for your for the sets, for the show sets. And we actually had Fox. They said, yeah, bring them up. And so we drove up there, delivered pumpkins and corn stalks, and of course they had that on their set. And then they came down and they did interviews. I mean, they came down multiple times. That was a really great thing. You can't buy that stuff. And so by taking the unique things that you have and leveraging that, you can really get a long ways. And so and then I'll just end with paintball, the paintball and the corn maze. It was like, well, what can we do in the off season to create some revenue? And so I came up with I think I was at a convention in Wisconsin, and it was just the second year we were doing the corn maze, and I heard one corn maze at that point had done it. It hadn't been done other than that. And I was like, okay, I want to try this. And we tried it, and it worked out really well. And of course, it's unique. It's really unique. And that also has been something that I've always focused on, is what can I do that's just really unique and that the media will pick up on. Because they're always looking for stories, and if you can give them something that's unique and relevant, they will pick up on it. And over the years, along with the Latins, we get great placement whenever they list haunted mazes and corn mazes and stuff like that. It's amazing to me because a lot of times it's not alphabetical. It'll be they pick what order that you see when you look at those lists that they put out of local corn mazes or pumpkin patches, and so it's all resulted in having those good relations with the media has resulted in good placement throughout their media outlets.
Right. Could you just corn maze, pumpkin patch? What else do you do on the farm?
Those are really
that's the agritourism.
Yeah. I mean that's the agritourism part of it. We do something kind of unique. We have corn rooms. And so what that means is it's a patch of grass which is adjacent to our courtyard, And it's got a fire pit in the middle. We put a tent in there, some picnic tables, and then it's got walls of corn. It's that simple. So if you're booking a birthday party or you have a family reunion, those kinds of things. And yeah, so we're able to create an intimate environment for that group. And again, it's just planting some corn around some grass and putting.
Are you selling any products, food, or anything like that?
We have our concessions very limited. We keep everything pretty much. I mean, we are selling our soda today at the same price we were 10 years ago, $1. Candy bars, $1. I mean, we kept our concession prices really, really, really low. And we'll do some hot dogs, but really not very much in that end. It's just, we could actually do a lot better there, and we're looking at expanding in that area.
All right, my name is Robert Pogue. I'm from Offit Lake Resort. I suppose I'm tied into this due to the fact that I'm part of the tourism overnight homestay type of a place. We have cabins and RV spots and tent spots. We also raise between 10 and 20,000 fish a year down on the lake. We give people the opportunity to go down, get a boat, spend some time on a dock, be close to nature, be close to the environment, and enjoy it from there. I became involved in this due to the fact that we're trying to reopen the old historic restaurant that is down on the water and kind of reincorporate that to the entire business itself. We got started by my gutsy mother, who was a nurse, and we were campers at this resort from the Puyallup area as a young child, and I remember the restaurant running and everything kind of up and running and going. And as I was a senior in high school, she came back to a baseball tournament I was playing in Olympia and informed me that she quit nursing. Out of the blue, she quit nursing. I'm done nursing. What are you going to do now, Mom? Well, I'm going to run a resort. What do you know about that? Nothing. So the previous resort owners we knew well. They knew my brother and I very well, and our spirited, adventurous ways, we'll say. And but she said, you need to have one of two skills. You either need to be a bartender or a nurse to run a place like this. You have to care about the people that come in. You have to genuinely want to listen to them and what they're going through on a day-to-day basis, because the people that visit us, we have customers that are there 5 to 7 days a week just to go enjoy a spot on the dock and catch some fish. It's very similar to your dark bar room where the similar guys are down there every day, and they request that you don't tell their wife that they're there. It's just kind of a neat spot with a bunch of very neat people that really come out to enjoy. But I met Scott early on in the reconstruction of this place. Once my mom bought it, it no longer resembled the place that I remember from my childhood. It was broken down and falling apart, and the bulkhead that was surrounding our lodge building had deteriorated to non-recognition. And so I took my kind of college background, which is freshwater biology, and started working towards figuring out what to do with this bulkhead and how to bring it back. And Jason Kuntz from the Department of Fish and Wildlife thought I was nuts for trying to do it myself, but when you're running a very small business with very limited income, it's not the time that you're interested in, it's the bottom line. You can, like the Latins say, you can make them work 120 hours and pay them for 40. And that is the real life matter. I mean, you do it because you love it. I love where I'm at. I get a lifestyle. I get to live at the lake. I get to work the lake a lot. I get to watch a lot of people fish. I love to fish. I haven't done it in 6 months. And that's the God's honest truth. You don't get to always just enjoy what you have. Yes.
Do you have overnight lodging?
Oh,
cabins and things
yep.
like that?
Yep.
Talk a little bit about that, and then again, any challenges, especially in that? I'm really interested.
The challenges that I'll go right to that. The challenges were the zoning that we lie in now. Us trying to reopen the restaurant, the zoning had changed, so it now took our restaurant that had been closed for 20 years-ish, it took it out of being under the right zoning to have the opportunity to do so. Scott got a hold of me and told me to look at this ag tourism deal we're going through, and I sat in as much as I could on the committee and gave my input and feedback, and I realized that these folks with the county are working their behinds off on trying to give us all an opportunity to grow, to work together as an entire community here, to each use our different pieces of the pie here to come together and be strong financially, economically.
Can you repeat that for just a second? Quote of the day.
Thank you. But really, I mean, from the get-go, I know that their first draft was a rough one, and a lot of people opposed it, but I knew that I could stand firmly and stay behind these folks that are really trying to listen to us and to work hard to know that we have a good angle that we're coming from as the financial business part, and they want to see us thrive. It's really, I've been really blown away by their hard work and what they're going for us. So I hope we all jump in, and I can serve your foods that you grow, or the wines that you produce, or the beers that you make. That's my part. I'll provide some overnight stays with some little cottages and cabins, and I hope we can all get together and really take this ball and run like heck. This is a very cool opportunity.
Woo!
Hi, I'm Chanel Brookshaw. I'm with the Hairnet Environmental Foundation. I know that's kind of a mouthful. I'm kind of the odd duck that's sitting up here, in that the foundation I work with, we are a conservation and preservation organization. We're a very small nonprofit, meaning this is the staff. So if it needs to be done, it would be me. 7 days a week sounds really familiar. My phone doesn't turn off. And so my interest and desire to be part of this is that from the eco-tourism type of standpoint. We own about 1,000 acres in Tenino. I work with landowners all year long in finding resources for them to either continue farming or preserve and conserve their lands. I work with the local municipalities. I'm in the schools teaching environmental education and outreach. We are consistently doing land acquisitions throughout the Chehalis Basin to continue our conservation mission, as well as ensuring that our natural resources are protected in perpetuity. And with that, one of the amazing parts of my job is that I get to see threatened and endangered species thriving and surviving. And one of the really cool things about where we're located and what we do is that we have a lot of folks on our property already. Part of our property is just adjacent to the Tenino Park. Some of you might be familiar with that. And we have a lot of folks that are out there walking and enjoying the environment already. We have thousands of bird watchers that come onto our property every year and get to enjoy the natural resources and the environment there. We have a local fishing hole that everybody is familiar with in our area, and we've had grandpas stuck in that pond for a very long time. So they would take their grandkids down and go fishing. And in the beginning, one of our difficulties in this, back in the early 90s when I started with this organization, was the first immediate response was, well, you're taking our land away from us. Even though they didn't own it, they already felt a stewardship or a connection with the land because they had been there fishing or hunting or walking on the land for decades already. So a lot of the beginnings, what I've had to do was talking, education and outreach, and that's kind of what started our outreach program, and that I needed to show and explain to the community that we're not taking it away. We just want to make sure that it's not an apartment complex here pretty quick. So once I could get that message out and explain to them, we want you on the property, and please, if you find something really cool, let me know. When you're out and about, take some pictures, send me a photo. I've got an avid bird watcher that sends me his annual list of all his really amazing birds that he's managed to tick off his list. So I work a lot with the community. I'm infiltrated throughout the entire Chehalis Basin, and especially the Scatter Creek watershed, which is where
I like that,
Chehalis is.
infiltrated.
Infiltrated, I am. Ask anybody that knows me, I'm all over the place. But a lot of what's going on, one of the things that I have found over the years in all of my work with the community is that folks get up, they go to work, they come home. They get up, they go to work, they come home, or they're running Johnny to baseball and Betty to cheerleading and Susie over to ballet. They don't have time to understand the county policies. They don't have time to understand where the resources are, where there's potential funding to fix their irrigation line, or to figure out, gosh, you know, I've got all these stupid beaver on my property, and what do I need to do? And so there's a place for us, and that I can go out to these people's properties, I can talk to them on the phone, I can give them contacts, addresses, email sites, information that they need to better their lives, to continue doing what they do best on their land, because they know their land. And then also give them some information on further conservation efforts that they could do, or preservation. I work with all the regional biologists, both federal and state, so it's not uncommon for me to get a phone call about a deer that looks sickly on their property, and they're afraid it's going to infect their cattle herd, and do I need to shoot all my cows, and what do I need to do? And so sometimes I go out and take a peek. A lot of times I'll just refer them with who they need to talk to. And so our organization provides an amazing resource of information to help our community thrive and strive. So that's kind of why I'm here. We have property that is adjacent to about 2.5 miles of the Thurston County Chehalis Western Trail. So we have a lot of folks that are out and about. And this trail system has become an intricate part of Thurston County. And we want to be able to promote and provide these day trips and provide a place for people to come and rest and hang out and charge their batteries. And I don't know if a lot of you are familiar with geocaching. I went on the website the other day and was shocked to find how many of those are on my property.
Can you describe what it is for folks?
Yeah, geocaching is kind of a new hobby that has kind of come up within like the last maybe 10 years. And what folks do in their off time is they create these intricate, special little treasure boxes where they put significant items in these boxes that are important to them, or something that they would like to share. Sometimes it's just a poem, or it's a keychain that's managed to travel around the world from geocache box to geocache box. And they typically go to their favorite place, or one of their favorite spots on their daily walk or their weekly walk, and they hide this box. And they have to identify it with a GPS point. And so what they've done is they've created the websites that give out all of these GPS points, and then for anybody that's going to be in the general area can go to the geocache website and say, I'm going to be walking around the Capitol Lake. Pull it up, see how many sites, and then they go out and try to find it. It's like a little miniature treasure hunt. And surprisingly, we have lots and lots. So that tells me again that I've got a lot of folks out there enjoying what we're protecting and preserving. So that's kind of why I'm here.
Okay, so if any of you saved up any questions you have for the panelists, yes, go ahead.
Not a question, but I've heard this kind of alluded to throughout the presentation. So to tag on to her comment about protecting and preserving, my background as a veterinarian is I am always conscious of public health, so animal health and human health. So when bad stuff doesn't come onto your property. It would be a shame after you spent all this time and energy and money and hard work to put your own investment at risk. And by the same token, I can't think of any worse publicity than to have a group of school kids or somebody come on your property and contract, a disease that could be passed from animals to people. So work with county health, work with state health, work with the veterinarian to find out. I was really appreciative of the information that's available today. So make sure look before you leap if people are thinking of getting involved in this, because I can't imagine what kind of liability and the hardship that you undergo if, for example, your place had to be quarantined because of some animal disease. So thank you for my soapbox.
Any other questions or comments for the panel right now? There has to be something. Not, I have some.
Yes, so I'm curious if any of you on the panel link with neighboring locations or businesses, so that when you advertise together as a multi-location event destination. Do you market together with your partners? Like, for example, at Latins, I know that there's Circle Hop Farm, I don't know, a little bit close to you, and they have some amazing things. Do you ever co-promote, co-link up with neighboring businesses?
We hand out Wolfhaven brochures and barn brochures, and they hand out ours, and so yeah, there's a community feeling there, and they benefit, so do we.
You also have Johnson Meats too, right?
Yeah, we also do deal with Johnson Meats, which does a wonderful job with smoked meats. But we're always interested in reaching out to the other farms still more.
It's a good question, because for us this year, we are going to, we haven't done such a good job of that in the past, but this year we actually are going to be doing that. And so for you guys and for some others, we're wanting to reach out to and complimentary, I should say actually not but complimentary to our products and what we have, people that aren't competing with us. We definitely want to find some ways to work with them, because again, it's all about, we have a shared demographic, and so what can we do to leverage our resources to create some synergy and in the end, I guess, make more money.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions from, yeah.
I was just going to add on to that real quick. And so with the foundation, outreach is a really huge part of what we do, and it's really important because we have a weird name and people can't remember us. So I'm out all the time. And so a couple of things that we've done is we're extremely supportive of other nonprofit organizations in our region. And we'll go to bat for them on any type of project that they have that we feel is sustainable and well thought out, and overall a great purpose. But one of the other things that we do, because we are in a rural community, that we feel is really important, and that an example is to become a Hairnet Environmental Foundation member, you get a membership card. But on that membership card, I have worked for the last 3 years with all of our local businesses. And our members get discounts at all of our local businesses. And what happens is, what I'm trying to do is promote our local economy. I want people to stop and shop. Come hang out, take a walk, enjoy the day, but stop and check out our local restaurants, check out our antique shops. And so what they do for us is I have printed out our logo. They hang our logo in their window, so that automatically keys people that have our card, hey, I can stop here and get a discount, let's go see. Or it's, what is that? Who is that? How can I be a part of that? And so I've worked with years to help promote our local economy, as well as who we are and what we are. Because when I need something, guess who I go to? Yeah, my local folks. So it doesn't necessarily have to be like-minded businesses or organizations. That's great, but we also need to keep it local.
Other questions? I have a question for the panel. Could you talk a little bit about liability, risk, and insurance, and how difficult it is, if it is difficult, and if you've had any issues, losses, or claims, or things like that you, because that's one of the things that consistently comes up, is some people say it's impossible or so expensive that keeps them out. I'm curious what your experience is.
We even put on a shooting to get publicity. And let me tell you, that costs some money on the insurance. It's, you know, when you have small children and mothers, if somebody the child happens to brush up against a nettle, the mother takes it to the emergency room, and because they just don't know. And so it's a big liability when you got that many people on a farm. On our Easter egg hunt, I might mention too that when you have a certain amount of property and you have a lot of cars to park, you have to give up some of your planting area to park those cars. And also that's a liability there. But yeah, the insurance is very, very expensive. And we have a apple slingshot, and we had a little problem with that, but nothing great. But it's just, when you have that many people on your property, it definitely is a liability.
For our product liability, we have to carry $3 million in insurance. That's just for the product liability. There's also liability on the farm itself. There's liability on cars. There's also liability on the house. A lot of liability policies we have to carry. Luckily, we've only had one incident that was major as far as somebody getting hurt. That went through insurance, and the insurance company decided that, gee, we've done everything we possibly could do to prevent this to happen. They were just a little negligent in what they were doing, and so it didn't come back on us, but it easily could have. So yeah, that's something you really, really need to take into account. If you have people in your place, we're constantly picking up every stick and stone we can find, because they will throw it at each other or on the animals. Guaranteed.
Yeah, I mean, a corn maze, kids, they like to get those ears of corn and throw them. So, so that's definitely, and I was, interestingly, I was taking a bus, and the bus driver was talking, he was a former principal at a school, and he had mentioned, when he heard that I hailed from a corn maze, that he literally he was out with the class out at a corn maze, and somebody decided to throw an ear of corn, and the ends are very, very sharp. It hit him in the eye, and he lost his eye. And so that's the most extreme example I've ever heard. At the corn maze, our haunted maze, corn maze, it's dark, but with the haunted maze, we got the people will get chased, and so they get running, they can trip, they can fall. And we had one example of where we did get sued. But we were actually able to through somebody that was in the same party as that person, that it was really their own fault, and so that didn't go anywhere after that. We have to have a couple $1 million also as far as liability goes, and we have, which probably this is one of the biggest differentiators between us and some of the others, is we have a police officer or a sheriff's officer on Friday and Saturday nights. And so that works out really well as far as people feeling safe, and knock on wood, we've been so fortunate that things have been pretty safe out there, and our insurance hasn't got jacked up or anything like that. In our industry in general, there have been, over the years, we've had to change insurance companies a few times because there were fewer and fewer companies that were willing to take on the liability, so which is probably a trend.
That's what I was going to ask. One of the questions is, how hard is it to find a carrier that will cover the specific liabilities that you have?
It wasn't. I mean, for me, it wasn't hard. No, it wasn't hard. I went to my insurance company, and they found it right away. And then there was a switch, and they just found us another person. And so for us, it wasn't an issue. But I have heard in the industry that it can be difficult.
Can I add one more thing? At our Easter egg hunt and our festivals, we are very grateful to our local fire department, who comes down with a fire truck and sits there with their nice medic personnel. And they do it to promote their fire department, but we are really grateful for them being on hand, and it helps with our liability that they're there. Also, a lot of times, police officers will stop in either on duty or off duty during the festivals just to walk around a little, which is wonderful.
I would say, from our point of view, similar things in terms of liability. It's pretty high cost. You come to find out that your insurance company gets to dictate a lot of the rules that you have in place at your particular establishment. We shop a lot. We've had insurance companies, being on a lake, we've had an insurance company tell us that we can't have swimmers. How do you stop that? Right? The main things that we find is walkways, places where people are walking and ingress, egress. Make them smooth. No lips, no places to trip. I mean, preventative maintenance. Just get rid of the things that could cause a problem. And I found, especially this last insurance company we've been for 7, 8 years, they come through and they'll walk through pre-season and point things out and say, hey, get after that. Yes, sir. Jump on the tractor and spread some dirt or gravel or whatever it is that you need to prevent something from happening. The last thing you want is to actually have to contact those people. You just want to pay the bill and move on.
Yeah, no, I think we're kind of the exception in that we're not hosting and holding events and those types of things, but we do have people on our property. And one of the glitches that we have that you guys probably won't have is cougar and black bear. We're protecting the habitat for them. And so we just make it really clear that you're on their habitat and you're on their property. And anytime I see walkers or I have people out and about or parked on the side of the road, I just let them know, hey, this is fall. Just know the black bears are going to be out moving, or it's cougar. They're going to be out with cubs. Or last year, DNR was scrambling to get some large parcels that they had cut. And so what that did was move a lot of the large animals down to where we were. So we, did due diligence and posted that, these critters are out and about and moving. So our insurance is a little bit different, but than the rest of you probably have to.
Questions? Yeah, go ahead.
I was wondering what kind of business license each one of you has, sole proprietor, LLC, incorporation, that kind of thing.
It's not a license, but even what their business structure is?
Yeah.
Okay. You want to address that, if you will?
We're an LLC.
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 There you go. And why do you choose that structure?
Because I got these children that want some money.
She's not quite right. We just changed to an incorporation.
Oh, you're incorporated now?
Yeah.
Okay. And why did you do
We're
that?
an LLC for inheritance problems.
Okay.
Like I said, the kids want money.
More importantly, we didn't want the, anymore.
Specifically for the reason that we were talking about just before, which is why you have insurance, because somebody wants to sue you because they fell down or got hit with that piece of corn. It obviously protects us from
Separates the individual from the business entity, so they can't sue you individually. That's what I was calling. Yeah. Any other questions? George? Well, there was a question back here. Who wants to go first? Ladies first. You go ahead.
I'm curious if you have incorporated any energy efficiency appliances or machinery, and whether or not you've ever considered that environmentally sound or ecologically sound infrastructure as a part of your tourism attraction. Do you understand the question? Okay.
So, good question, because that's actually something that I'm working on right now moving forward. In the past, what we've done is we were actually, we were approached by the seed company that we get our seed from a couple years ago, and they asked us, there was essentially the way we were planting our corn was a row of corn 48 inches, a row of corn 48 inches. What we did is we changed over and we went row of corn, 6 inches, a row of corn, 48 inches, a row of corn, and then we ran down these strips of plastic tubing down the middle so that we watered directly to the roots. And so I think we were one of the first farms to do that here in the area, and it cut down our water consumption by 50%, cut our labor because we weren't watering the trails, and so we didn't have to we didn't have to kill those weeds, or we didn't have to hire somebody to hoe them down. So that actually ended up being great for us. And then moving forward, I'm actually working with some different entities to utilize our farming to get some solar out there and actually be an attraction down the road and sort of be a model.
Anybody else have a comment?
The lucky thing we have with rebuilding, rehabilitating this old restaurant is the infrastructure that's under it gets to be recreated, and we have the opportunity to start from the beginning in terms of our water consumption and all of the equipment that goes inside is all to the utmost. You spend the money up front to save it in the long run, and that goes from all of our lighting to all of our equipment for the restaurant itself to the windows that have gone in, so on and so forth. So we get to start new there. Also being on a lake, our practices in terms of lawn maintenance, and the lake was truly my classroom for 2 years. And my concern with the health of the water and what's growing there, or now I see my neighbors fertilize their lawn when they live right down on the water, and it drives me insane. Where I have a patch of grass there where you can go and enjoy a picnic or something, well, that's green by the grace of God. I can't sit there and pump a bunch of Scott's lawn fertilizer down on it and have it leach into the lake and then expect your kids to swim where, all of the weeds are now blossoming and turning the water into havoc. And so, we have to protect the lake and the fishery because the rest of our business stems around the health of that water. So that's the key. You're all that.
I am.
George? Where's the question?
Right here.
Hey, go ahead.
I just wondered, anyone from the panel or anybody that happens to be in agritourism here already has dealt with consultants and setting up their business and that kind of thing? And if so, has it been successful for you to utilize that service, or is it better to just already have all those skills?
An agritourism consultant?
An agritourism consultant, a farming business consultant, somebody that can help you put it all together, basically.
Have you had any consultations or
Yes,
coaches?
we had. No, it didn't. Never again.
Can I get that name down?
But
from the Latin's point of view, they do go with the Direct Marketing Association.
Yeah.
They do listen to national speakers and those kind of things.
Right.
From that standpoint, they do market research, they bring back cool ideas, they win awards.
One time we brought a consultant and it was a very bad decision. They don't.
Any other comments on that?
We've done some in terms of business, your organization, things like that. When you're putting the amount of hours in that you end up doing it your way, at what works for your brain, whether you think in circles, lines, or squares. You end up going your way, whether you've been helped along or not. You find the avenues out there. There's information out there to glean help from all the time. But having somebody come in and kind of show you how to run your business.
I've only known a couple of people who do that specifically for agritourism, and it is quite spendy, and frankly, I think, as George said, attending the NAFMA conferences and things like that, and simply just doing the research and finding the individuals, the operations on the internet, and then calling them up and say, hey, can I come visit? Especially if it's far enough away that they don't feel like it's a threat. They're going to be very happy to help you and pick their brain. That's the way I would consult, and then you can even write that off as a business expense and take a vacation out of it.
And our next panel is going to go over resources that are available
Yeah.
in the community now, that they're not exactly consultants, but they are groups in our community that are like consultants, that work with the business plans and thinking about those kind of things.
Yeah, that's what I was going to hit on. There's a lot of resources that are free, and people will help you write grants and things like that, so that's good. And then kind of on that note, what we've learned also is that the way that a consultant values their time, and the way we've talked about how our time is not the same as, so a consultant, they see their time as, $100 an hour or X, Y, Z amount, and for us, that's not how we make our decisions. It's not, we get the job done, and it's not, okay, our time's worth, $50 when we're on the tractor, or, that kind of thing.
On that note, can you hear me in the back? I'm usually pretty loud. On that note, my thought would be, or my encouragement would be, do your homework, call around, see what you think you might like to do, check it out, because it's going to be key. These folks are going to definitely tell you that you're going to really need to do what you're going to want to do every day anyway. So once you find that special thing that you think you can get really behind and motivate and do, I think you're going to be really amazed with what you're going to be able to do yourself. There's a lot of resources out there, but I think what's really amazing about this whole idea is that it's so individualized. Not every group or everything is doing the same thing. The folks that are doing these agritourism or ecotourism programs love what they do, and what they do is different and special to them. And so I think that's finding your passion is going to be a huge bonus in being successful.
So I'd like to have the last question, Curtis, unless you have one.
No, go for it.
I was blown away by Lapis and the number of people they employ and the payroll they have year-round. And I want each one of you just to talk about how do you source your labor right now. Because some of it's seasonal and you have to ramp up as well. So just tell us how you get your labor.
We keep 20-some employees all year long, so that we have a trained force when we go to get really busy. And we have as many as up to 50 employees before we're done. And it's a very difficult thing when you have 50 employees. You spend a lot of time just doing that. And the payroll's big. You got $10,000 worth of payroll every week. And it's no joke. You've got to raise a lot of green beans. And like you have during the ice storm, we had a couple people help us. And one guy was there a couple hours, and he's been on the L&I for the last couple of years, last year. But, you get all kinds of things like that. But where do you get those people? I think that's
where are they coming from? Local community
mostly,
members?
yes. Mostly people that are just here. We try them out a little on the farm, and then if they're doing well, we keep them on too.
We put ads on Craigslist. We have ads on our website. We go to All-Star Employment Agency or WorkSource. We also ask and beg anybody that knows us to please send somebody our way that you would trust, because it's very, very, very hard to find employees that actually want to work. Most of them just want a paycheck.
If you don't have gray hair, I don't want you.
That's pretty
Right.
yeah.
It's just, there's a total blank there between what we were and what is coming up. And so I love that gray hair.
Friends and family has been mostly how we've gotten ours, and then we get a lot of for our haunted maze. Actually, we have a lot of volunteers, and so people they think it would be cool to haunt the maze, and so to go out and just scare people. So that's people get off on that. And then we worked with some nonprofits. I've worked with like Timberland High School, their theater department, to have, and then we have them come out and haunt the maze on the nights, and then we donate some money to them. So that's been kind of a creative way that we've done that. And this year I am going to start working. I literally just yesterday sent a message to a local employment staffing agency to, as we want to expand and get more of a dependable workforce and create that experience that we really want people to have. So we're looking at that.
Month, 2 months? How long are you employing?
So it'll be varied from approximately 6 weeks.
We are primarily family. We a couple of friends that come in during the peak season from basically Memorial Day to Labor Day. Other than that, myself, my mother, my father, my grandmother, my brother, and then very close friends and family. Alluded to finding the people that are A, willing to work, and B, that you can trust. Not an easy thing.
Oh, there's a burning question back there. Oh, yes.
Yes, I would like to hear about your opinion about when the real activity that have relation with the farm change to be an attraction. The meaning is that a crowdy people, a lot of people that is visiting, and maybe you change your real activity that is farming, growing something. And
So
right now,
when you made the transition from just growing crops to doing,
yes,
when did that happen and why?
yes, and how is stuff, or what's the feeling? Continue pursuing this in terms that earn more money, or to preserve the environment, the culture that you are?
Can you understand the question?
Well, we were 11 years old when they started the cider mill, and we've worked there our whole life. So we've always had people coming to our farm since then. So we haven't had a whole bunch of a transition, except we transitioned from being a family farm with just our family on it to having all the public come in. And we did it really gradually, but it is, a lot of times now we'll look around and we'll think, gee, it would be really nice to just have some private space of our own again. But that's not going to happen.
Carolyn, when your daughter was 11, why did you start, I think his question is, what caused you to want to go into direct marketing and agritourism? Just financial, or you just wanted to do it?
Financial, yeah, right. He's dreaming. I worked 20 years in an office, and I had some beautiful jobs. I loved them. And we were processing, we had a cider mill and a cider press. And people were bringing their apples, and we did their apples for them, and they were so happy. But anyway, one day I had 4 children, 2 boys and 2 girls. The 2 boys escaped, and they got real jobs, and the girls, I make them feel guilty so they don't leave me. But anyway, the children were little. My youngest one was 5. And so my husband said to me, either you have to make the cider press profitable, or else you have to go back to work in an office. Well, the next morning I was in the office. And but after a few days, they missed the bus. They just couldn't get on the bus in the morning. When you have 4 children and you're leaving them before they get on the bus in the morning, and you're coming home 3 hours after they've been fighting. And so you realize that the children come first. And so I said to my husband, I'll make the cider mill go. And we went from nothing. We used the building that we had for a chicken house. And there wasn't even a concrete floor in the building when I started. And it was very, very difficult when I started because of all the laundry and the dishes and the schoolwork and the library and the 4-H and what have you, to build a business with 4 children involved. But we did it, and it's been a fun thing. And did I tell you we like what we do?
Brian, you want to say that?
It was really, I said it earlier, my grandfather was doing really well. He kept buying a little more property every year, or leasing a little bit more, and he was expanding, and he just wanted to find something for his son to do. And so we had a piece of property that my grandfather had inherited from his parents, and he wanted that to stay and to be valuable to the continuing generations. And so we set up with my uncle with the court maze, and really that is his main source of income. Whereas most farms, the farm is the main source of income. And then actually over the years, we've grown and expanded more sweet corn around there, and so that's actually now together they're doing well. But It was to set, my uncle, my grandfather wanted his son to have a business. And we need corn.
George, we need to wrap it up there.
No, let's do, this is really important.
Okay.
These people are going to be in the county for a lifetime.
Okay, so if there are more, I just want to like the other panel and, yes, go ahead.
I just wanted to say what's worked for us with the previous chapter you were talking about with getting good help. We have a Christmas tree farm, and we use scouts and 4-H kids as our helpers, and it's a fundraiser for them. So the parents are responsible for the kids, and the kids work, and they're wonderful workers, but the parents are responsible, and then we give them $3.50 a tree for their troop that we sell. So it's a fundraiser for them. The kids get experience, and the kids that are really good, we keep an eye, so when we need help, we know who the kids are who are hustled.
As they get older. So how does that work with L&I and so forth? Is that, are you okay with that?
Paperwork, I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know how that works.
Child labor.
Well, they only work, it's fundraiser, and they can also put it down. They have to have so many volunteer hours in high school, and so they can use some of that time for volunteer work.
And do you want to tell us where the opportunity to get our Christmas tree this year is?
Light Dales.
We got our tree there before, and they do have it. There is one thing with L&I that you're able to, if you want to, is just pay the L&I part of that so that the volunteer is paid for.
Right, and that's what I was going to ask Ryan. When you talk about volunteers, are you paying L&I on your volunteers?
I also don't handle the paperwork. So
because if you're not and somebody files a claim, you can be in deep doo-doo, even if they're a volunteer.
Well, and the good part about that we like is it gives kids work opportunity. They learn how to work.
Oh, it's
they
wonderful,
learn how
yeah.
to be responsible.
In today's world, I just wondered if somebody was asking. Any other questions?
Yeah,
Yes.
I really wanted to touch on that a little bit because it is a contingent. I happen to have teenage daughters who, and one in particular who says, I want a job and nobody will give me a job because I'm only 16. And that's why I wanted to know, what opportunities that you found. I know I've talked to Carolyn about that before, is that, there was a large transition with not being able to hire people under 18. There's a lot of different, regulations that go with that, and how could you deal with that? And still allow some younger people to get involved. Of course, you've got the volunteers, but, how does that work as far as, regulations are concerned, and has that been a problem?
On our business license, it says we cannot hire anybody lower than, less than 18 years old. What a sad thing they are doing that to children. That's why I have gray-haired employees. It's because the children don't have chores at home anymore. They don't live on a farm. Therefore, they have no experience. And so it's a sad thing to do to the younger generation. My children grew up and they worked from the time they were little. And let me tell you, when they're employed someplace else, they give 110%. And we used to be a place where the kids could come and learn how to work and come to work clean and come and be on time, and they learn something. And now it says nobody under 18. What a sad thing for this. That's why this generation isn't going to have a lot of responsibility, because they haven't been able to learn it.
I think we've got a couple of comments on that. Let's go right here first.
Well, I work for the Elm Chamber, and we put on a home show every year. And the groups that you want to look for, if you're looking for young and help and to give them work experiences, go to your local FFAs, go to your FHAs, go to your Boy Scouts, go to your Cub Scouts. United Way, we quit giving the United Way because they don't give to the Scouts at all, which is really sad. It's the only group they turn down. And so the Scouts are looking for funding, and the only way they can get funding is through the cookie and sales and stuff like that they do. So if you were to look for somebody, look for a Scout, Boy Scout, Cub Scout, look for your FFAs, look for your groups like that, because we use them in the parking for the home show and everything. They do a wonderful job, and the kids work hard, and they deal with the public too, and it gives them good experience. Our parking situation for the home show would be chaotic if it wasn't for them. So, and,
what's your name, sir?
Steve Ruff.
Thank you, Steve. So if anybody wants to get a hold of you after, Steve Rupp with the Elm Chamber, Miles Sand and Gravel.
One more comment in the back, or a question, whichever it is.
Hi, my name is Teresa Ruth, and I manage Columbus Park, and I so I'm not sure what the disconnect is there for you, or if it's just what it is that your farm actually does. But I can hire 14 to 18 as long as they're within the bracket of the things that it's okay for them to do, and I stay within the hours that they can do. And we do a lot of word of mouth around that too.
2 years ago, our business license, when it came back to us from the state, said on it that we could not hire under 18.
Wow.
So before that we
Do
could.
the difference in the things that you do versus what we can have kids do. Because for us, they're cleaning, they're, scooping out the deuce off the dogs.
That's what we hired for.
That's an interesting.
So I'm going to ask our resource team to check into that, and we'll get back to you on that.
We did have to file for a minor works permit to do that, and it's not a huge cost to do that, so maybe that's something that's missing for you.
They're here and then there, we get a lot of.
$800 plus a federal
Gentleman in front of
inspection.
you was first. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say there's a big difference. 18 over, they have to be over 18 to handle machinery.
That's true.
And that's a big difference. That some farms have machinery and some is all hand labor.
That's true. Do you have something else?
People were not helping machinery.
I was just going to say that L&I just hired a business specialist who is excellent at working with businesses and helping them understand and conform to labor regulations. So she's used to work with the...
Is that Cecilia?
Cecilia Nightingale.
Okay.
And she's fabulous. So if you have a business problem as a business owner with L&I, there's a person who understands business at L&I that can help you.
And just real quick, I just have a statement about employees, and you guys have done a really great job covering most of this, but there's kind of a select group that is being overlooked here, and I work with a lot, and that's college interns. Okay, Evergreen, South Puget Sound, Centralia Community College all have agricultural programs. Okay, and these folks are begging to get out on farms and get their hands dirty and would love to learn practical practices on how to be a farmer. And this core group of folks is really, really critical in getting our young farmers on the land. They're going to be our future farmers. And to me and to my organization, it's absolutely dire and critical that we help these farms do what they do best and protect agriculture and all the practices that they have. So just don't forget your college students. Would love to have a summer job learning how to grow and rotate crops and just figure things out. So that's
For our farm and for a couple other people that do like the corn mazes and stuff, when we need the help, they're back in school again.
Yeah, a lot of agritourism
train
is
them
in
and
the
then they
fall,
leave.
which makes it difficult, but there are internship programs during the summer, not only through the colleges, there's Workers, which is schooling workers on organic farms, that there are networks you can get into for summer interns.
And I have interns all year long.
We do need to wrap that up. I would like to thank our panelists, give our panelists a 5-minute break and we're going to switch panels, correct? 5-minute break and switch panels. Thank you very much.